David, finish, please. Sorry, go on, David. I was enjoying listening to that. Sorry.
For the top 30 to act like Saka's at the bottom is crazy because there are guys like Dovbyk. Yamal was good in the Euros, but he didn't have a good season overall. Like, let's not do that. So Saka deserves to be in there. Odegaard deserves to be in there. Saliba deserves to be in there. I've got no problem with them. It's that Declan bloke, that Declan guy there, especially for a DM who didn't win anything to make it above Mo Salah, above Van Dijk, above Kevin De Bruyne, Jamal, Rodrigo, even Messi. I'm throwing Messi in this mix. Guy won a Copa America, and it's Messi.
Doing what?
Messi always deserves to be the Ballon d'Or. Always.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
No, I don't care. I don't care he's in the MLS. That guy is a top 30 player in the world.
One second. So Vitinha deserves to be in there more than Declan Rice.
Hey, Virgil van Dijk.
Wait, hold on. Can I ask David a question? David, quick question, David. So why shouldn't Dovbyk be in that short list?
I'm not saying that Dovbyk shouldn't be in there. My point is that I would put Saka above Dovbyk. So
why would you put Saka above him?
Who the hell is Dovbyk?
Saka.
Dovbyk was the guy that helped Girona finish third.
No. He finished top scorer in La Liga playing for Girona.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy.
No, I get that, but I feel like what Saka done in the Prem is harder to do than what he did in La Liga.
I thought you.
That's crazy. You can't you can't say that.
I personally think coming second in the Premier League and being one of their main contributor in attack is harder than finishing
than playing for Girona and competing against Barca, Real, and Atleti.
I know Girona aren't a big team, but last year they were class. He had he got loads of chances to score.
He could argue he was the reason.
Saka was
but David, that doesn't make sense. Wait, David, from a pro-logical point of view, from a league that is so dominated by Barca, Real, and through an Atleti, for a team out of nowhere to do as well as they did, and him to finish top scorer ahead of Lewandowski and Vinicius, that is surely a much greater achievement than whatever Saka did for Arsenal, a team who we expect to compete for league. Girona are never winning no league title. The fact that they even competed is far more admirable than Arsenal, who we expect to compete based on who we see them as in the Premier League.
Again, if you have that opinion, you have that opinion. Me personally, I'm putting the Premier League difficulty higher than the La Liga difficulty because there are two really good teams, but then the other 17 that you've got to go against, they're not the best.
David, let me challenge. Hang on a minute. Let me challenge David's logic here, though. So you've said that Rice shouldn't be in, but yet Rice has been playing in it. Rice played in a Premier League team, which you've said the difficulty's higher in, and been part of a team that dominated most possession, didn't concede any goals, that he is down to. So how are you stating that performing in the Premier League is much harder, but then you're crapping on Declan Rice, who was brilliant in the Premier League, not being in the top 30 players in the world?
Because I believe that it's, as a DM, it's kind of like it's a different barometer for DMs, because being a DM and being in these top 30s is weird because you're being judged by a different criteria than goals and assists. So I think if you're a DM, you actually have to be exceptional all the time. And I believe I've been lied to about Declan Rice.
But Declan Rice, Declan Rice last season, overall, there are a handful of games, of course, but Declan Rice overall last season was exceptional for Arsenal. Their defensive records, he performed well in a 6. He performed very well in an 8. He created chances. He got assists. He scored goals. He handled the pressure of that £100 million price tag. He was, I don't think he was great at the Euros, but he helped get a very poorly coached team under Southgate to a final of the Euros. I know he wasn't great in it. I openly admit that. I'm not saying he should be winning the fucking Ballon d'Or, but I get what the criteria can't be different, because if it's hard for an attacker for an attacker in the Premier League, that's because the DMs and people doing those jobs are obviously better because they're stopping the attackers. The logic's off for me, bruv.
No, I'm just not putting Declan above Jamal. I'm not putting Declan above Mo Salah. I'm not putting Declan above Kevin De Bruyne. I'm just not doing that.
Kevin.
Did Jamal not make the list?
McAllister should be on that list. I'm sorry.
But you won a Carabao Cup.
Where's Kobe Mainoo?
Don't forget Let's not do that. Copa America.
One second. Jamal made the list. Why do you guys keep talking about him like he didn't make the list?
Who mentioned Jamal?
You mentioned him.
Someone just said. I thought someone said Jamal.
Yeah,
I said Jamal.
Oh,
Jamal Musiala.
Musiala.
Yeah.
Sorry. There we go. Yeah. Let's keep it the surnames, please. Let's keep it the surnames because that threw me.
Sorry, my bad.
Sorry, bro.
Again, Julian Alvarez won. He won everything last year, but we're just gonna forget that he exists. Like, come on, there are guys. There are guys.
Alvarez, but you wouldn't say McAllister. You shamelessly say Alvarez, but not McAllister.
Did he win the league? Did he win the league?
1 second.
He won a trophy and he won Copa America.
1 second. Why do Liverpool fans think all of a sudden falling off in the league and winning the freaking Carabao Cup you deserve all these plaudits?
Because we actually won a trophy. You won.
So if the nomination to the Ballon d'Or is determined by the League Cup,
what do you get for second?
If the nomination to the Ballon d'Or,
Ram, there's a Conor Gallagher tag.
Let it go talk, please.
Ram, you're crazy if you think the nomination to the Ballon d'Or is determined by winning the League Cup. That's nuts.
No, I'm also saying Copa America. He was one of Argentina's best players for Copa America. Go on, answer that. Yeah, you can't answer it.
So, can I ask you? So, based on your logic there, Ram, I'm going to try and challenge your logic here. I'm playing devil's advocate. Kobe Mainoo breaks into the Man United team in the hardest league in the world, has a very good season individually, dominates and bosses an FA Cup final, scoring the winning goal, bossing the best midfielder in the world in Rodri. He's also one of England's best players that leads us to a final. Is it fair? Would it be fair to suggest that I know he's in the ranked high in the Golden Boy nominations or whatever they're calling that now, but has Kobe Mainoo got a shout based on your logic?
No. It's not even based on my logic because he still didn't do that great in the league. As in, like, he still finished eighth as a rising star. But then again,
individually he did, right? Individually he did. Let me throw this out to you. If every player in the Man United squad last season performed in their respective position to the same level that Mainoo did, the same as Chelsea. If Chelsea had 5 players alone who performed like Cole Palmer did last year in their respective positions, let's not pretend like Man United and Chelsea respectively wouldn't have finished higher. We're judging an individual within a team sport here. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying either should be Mainoo should be in the reckoning. I'm just challenging your logic because when it comes to what was done at club level and even international level, there isn't a great deal of difference between McAllister and Kobe Mainoo last season, barring one did win the Copa America. But if we had a different manager, we might have won the Euros. But you can't blame Kobe for that. Imagine if Argentina had Southgate as manager, would they have? No, let me ask you a question. If Southgate was managing Argentina, do you think Argentina win the Copa America?
I think it's not as. I think they still have an opportunity. They still got a great team.
Oh, so did England. We really won it. I'm just going by your logic here, and I do get where you're coming from. I think winning trophies is important, but there we go. Viewers, give us your thoughts and give us your feelings.
Internationals weigh a lot, though.
Yeah, I get you. Who do you guys think is going to? No, I'm going to change. No, I am going to ask this. I don't want to hear who you want to win. I want to know who you think, Kate, and everybody else is going to win the Ballon d'Or. Who do you think will get it?
I think it'll be Vinicius Jr. He won the La Liga, the Champions League. That's why I'm laughing at all this debates because it all means nothing because I think he'll win it. And then maybe Rodri second. But yeah, for me, it's clear cut. I think if Jude Bellingham had done better, he might have been in with a shout. But yeah, I think Vinicius Jr. and I think that's the right winner for me.
I think Manchester City as a club and the Premier League giving Phil Foden the player of the season makes it difficult for Rodri to win it over Vinicius. Because if Rodri were to have gotten the player of the season or the PFA player of the season, and he's been proven as the best player in this league and in the Euros, you have a case to say that you can't argue that he's one of the best players and he should win it. But the fact that constantly we're hearing about Foden and other players and Rodri's not being pushed up there, their own PR for Foden has kind of put down Rodri. And for me, I think Vinny's gonna win it based on the PR that he has.
I agree with that logic. I agree with your logic there. It's most people that get nominated for these trophies, most of the time they deserve it. PR plays a part. I also think, but your club PR plays a part as well. And I think that there are certain players who always go under the radar. And I think it's less so now because social media is so prominent. But in my younger days, Paul Scholes was. I always wish that Paul Scholes was better looking, not ginger, and had an agent, because that guy would have won a lot more. Or he would have done. He would have won a lot more awards than he did as an example. But it's about putting yourself out there. But I do agree, it's hard that Phil Foden won all the national awards. I think he won. Who won City's? And I want to throw to the audience. Who won City's internal awards? Does anyone know who won those?
Foden must have been
Foden.
Can we check, people? I'll Google it. I'll do it now to make it easier. So, Man City Player of the Year. The viewers will probably tell me before. Yeah, Phil Foden was named it here according to Google. So, if your club and your fans and your players are naming Foden Player of the Year, the Premier League and PFA are naming him Player of the Year, it doesn't, PR-wise, you're almost doing a player out of that. I've always said before, Liverpool. I think Liverpool's PR is so strong that if they started maybe 2 years ago crowning Salah as their greatest ever player, or at least their greatest ever Premier League player, I think they could have convinced the mainstream media to start pushing the GOAT argument to a point where it doesn't matter what we debate. Fans are a massive part of football, but what the mainstream push makes the general consensus. I think that City, again, I don't think maybe City fans don't even care in reality, but I think Agal is spot on. PR wise, they've almost probably stopped Rodri from winning it, because if Rodri's not been their best player, how can he be the best player in the world? And we know that when it comes to the voting system, some journalists and some people will almost use that as a cop-out and go, I'll vote for Vinicius then, because City don't even rate this guy as their best player, which is crazy.
No, but the thing, though, is I think, which is why, like, I agree with Kay, like, Vinny is the obvious winner who should win and will probably win. But there has been this late Rodri push. So the guy that was actually given the player of the tournament award at the Euros was Rodri.
Yeah.
Which is...
even finish the final.
Oh, no. And that's the whole... Which is why I said the Rodri PR is crazy, because Fabian Ruiz, Yamal, Nico Williams, Olmo were all arguably better than him. So 4 players on your own team were better than him.
See, I'm gonna back a Man City player here, which I hate doing, but I will. Rodri hasn't got crazy PR. I don't think he has good PR per se. He is just fucking amazing. Yeah. This man barely loses a game. He's one of these midfielders. He can do what, if you think about all the great midfielders in history, he can do a bit of what all of them can do. He can be a destroyer and break up play and win all of his duels. He can defend corners. He can tackle. He can pass. He can create. He scores goals. He is arguably, this term gets thrown around a lot, and it often gets thrown at attackers that are very good at attacking. And they say the complete footballer. No. Rodri is the complete footballer because he can do every single facet of the game to a top class to world class level. And the Spaniards and Europe voted him as the best because they saw that. He should have won those awards in England last year as well. But I think there was a bit of British bias towards Foden. No, by the way, Foden was amazing and Foden was out of this world. But Rodri, we are very blessed as football fans to have Rodri in the Premier League. He is so good, it makes me sick. That's how good he is. When he plays, the teams he's in seldom lose. I swear his win ratio last year was in the high 90s. No, but that's madness.
But Terry, this is what, again, I agree with you. He's amazing. He's superb. He's easily one of the best players in the Premier League and is one of the best players in his position. But what went against Rodri is, look at that Euro final. So I think Rodri got an injury at halftime. And everyone's like, oh, yes, Rodri's off. Boom, we're not going to have a chance. Zubimendi comes in and does the exact same job, if not better, and Spain don't lose a step. So if you were that important and crucial to Spain, why is it that when your replacement Zubimendi came in,
but I disagree.
It looks the same?
I disagree.
Spain did lose.
That was the argument versus Erling Haaland.
In the second half, that Spain eventually won the game.
That's the same issue with Man City and their players.
But they weren't in the first half at all.
But let me throw this out to you. Who's Chelsea, when you guys were at your pomp, think about how good you were with John, how good John Terry was. You man won a UEFA Champions League semi-final after he got sent off early in the game. Okay, that's worse than a player getting injured. It wasn't. You think, we didn't lose a step when he went off. Therefore, he isn't our greatest ever centre back. It's just your team adjusted. When Rodri went off, I think England, like all our pundits, like everyone, I left by the fan park by then. I had to go back to the apartment and do a show. I get a feeling that everybody did what I heard on the radio that I was listening to. Oh, we've got a great show. I heard Rio Ferdinand say it because I was listening to ITV. It was coming through the car. He was like, we've got an even better chance now because Rodri's gone off. And I think that got onto the players. I think the players thought, what an opportunity, opened up a little bit more and got caught out from it. And I don't think it's about Spain don't really need Rodri and Zubamendi's really good. Zubamendi isn't on the level of Rodri. Rodri went 70 games unbeaten as a player. That is a joke. That is a joke.
Yeah. But you know what, Kevin? The Man City PR made the same mistake, I think, even last year. I think last year Erling Haaland was not going to win it because there were so many other great Man City players being pushed for these awards also. And the same thing's happening this time also.
It was
last year Erling Haaland could have won it, but Messi winning the World Cup and Man City having so many players that are quality that also can score goals, also can win them the game without Erling Haaland not necessarily having to have a good game. Think about the cup finals that they won. All the cup finals that they won. Rodri scored the winner in the Let me finish before you disagree, because then no one will understand my point. My main argument is, if we're going to compare Rodri's situation to winning the cup final, coming off injured, there was moments in the season where people are saying Erling Haaland is not stepping up in these finals. They won the FA Cup, they won the Champions League, and they won the league off the back of some of Erling Haaland's good performances, but also sometimes he didn't even need to be there for them to win. So they're always going to have that.
In World Cup years, seldom does the World Cup's best player not win the Ballon d'Or.
No, I hear that. But I'm saying Man City's greatness as a squad and having so many other great world-class players can go against you.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I've been in spaces where, again, we just think about football fans' opinions. I've been in spaces before, been on the terrace before, where people are like, skulls weren't even that important to you because these 3 or 4 players were regarded as much better. I said, yeah, by the media or by this person or that person, but not by the people actually watching the team week in, week out. And I do get that. PR is a big part.